Okay. Pass the roles over to you.
Great. So my screen is what everyone's seeing,
Yeah.
correct?
Not yet.
Okay.
You should see a button to take over those controls.
Oh, okay. Accept. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Awesome.
There you go.
All
right, Joe, you're now the presenter.
Thanks, Martin. How many? Who's on? You want to announce yourselves on the line? This is Joe Wax from Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs, and I'll be running the webinar. Why don't you guys go around and just tell me who's on the phone?
Jim Peskin from Art House Productions.
Great. Is that it?
And, Tim Herrick from JCTC.
Oh, hey, Tim. How you doing?
Good, Joe. How are you?
Good. All right. And, all right, we'll get started. Let me give you, just writing.
So, Joe, you've got also Tim Herrick.
Yep.
And also another viewer that doesn't appear to be dialed in yet, but they're viewing. All
right, we'll give it a second. And you guys, can you just do me a favor and mute your phones if you haven't already? Because we are recording this for posterity and for anybody else that wants to listen and to watch in the future. And also, I can give you guys, when this is over, if you want the PowerPoint, I'd be happy to send it to you if you're interested. And is that other person in there, Marty?
No, Tim Herrick and the viewer number 4 do not have. Doesn't appear they've dialed in yet or don't have audio connection, but they are watching it.
So they can't hear me?
No.
So what do they have to do? Because should I put something on the screen so they can?
Yeah, I'll just tell folks over the. Well, that's right. They're not going to see. That's what I was trying to put up earlier was the phone number. I'll just put this in the chat box.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a chat feature in there. Let's see, copy.
Wait.
I'll do it to
yes.
all. There you go. So the phone number and the meeting access code should be in the chat feature there.
Down at the bottom there? Or
should be up in the top. It looks like a little chat cloud up in the.
Oh.
It should be a green box.
Oh yeah, I see it. There you go.
Like a chat cloud. Yeah. So. But we can also send them the recording of this video too later. So.
Yep. I'm just gonna put it. Just put it there for a second. All right. We'll get started. All right, everybody who's on the call. This is Joe Wax, like I said, from Hudson County Office of Cultural Affairs, and I work on grants. I work on the LAP grant and the other grant which this office does, which is called the Hudson County History Partnership Program, which last year was the first year we did that, and we're going to be rolling that out again when LAP is over. So sometime in October, mid-October, we're going to be rolling out the other grant, and some of the grantees from LAP have also applied and gotten the CHIP grant, which is for historical programming. So keep your eyes peeled for that coming up. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. We're talking about the FY18 LAP program. specifically the ADA aspect, which everybody has to complete in order to be considered for a grant. And not only is that our requirement, it's a requirement of the New Jersey Council on the Arts, who provides our funding. So without further ado, let's get going. Also, there is a box for this box I just put up on the screen for questions. If you want to do a question, you can throw it in there. I probably will just answer them at the end of each section, or at the end of when I'm done doing my presentation. And if you have any like nitty-gritty questions that are specific to your organization, your group, feel free to give me a call. My number is 201-459-2070, and my email is jwaks@hcnj.us. So you can see that stuff right there. Feel free to reach out for us. And also Corin Frankfort, who works here in this office and is pretty much runs Point on Lap. You can also reach her, and there's her email address. So, little housekeeping. If you have your lap guidelines that were available on from Zoom grants, might be helpful to have them. I have them up here, and I'll refer to them during the presentation. But right there. But if you have them, it might be helpful. Like I said, please put your phone on mute and whatever. I talked about the questions already. So, really, the first thing I want to talk about is, and you guys, I know Jim says he hasn't done the Hudson County lap before, but he did Essex, and Tim, I know you are familiar with this process, so we won't be too long. But as you guys know, or anybody knows, the key to ADA with LAP is that public money is public access, public money and public access. So keep in mind when you're doing your plans. We were well aware that a lot of the organizations, have their programming or have their headquarters or where they where they do their work or present their work, that we're not dealing with a perfect world where everything is going to be 100% ADA compliant and that's a brand new spanking new building, except for maybe actually Art House, because you guys just moved into a nice place over there on 16th Street, I guess it is. But so the key is we know it's not going to be perfect, but we do expect that you investigate ways to present your publicly funded programs so everyone can get to see, enjoy, and participate in them. So really the key is universal accommodation, reasonable accommodation, but we're trying to get, we want, we not just because we're, partially funding these programs, but because it's really the right thing to do. We want, we want as many people in the most diverse group of people to take advantage of the great programming that you present. So just moving on. Next slide. So we require that, and the state requires, like I said, that all FY 2018, and that's what we're in. We're going to be in FY 2018. That all applications contain a full 3-year ADA plan. So if you've done a plan in the past, and I know both Art House and JCTC, and probably anybody else that's on the line have done these plans in the past. So really it's a matter of updating. So you'll be doing it for 2018, 2019, and 2020 will be, so you really you're just adding you're taking last year away and you're adding a year. So you want to review your prior plan and see where you're at, see, what you've done and where you need to go. really is the most important, really an important thing and the really kind of the place to start. And then, you like I said, you want to see what was supposed to have been accomplished and has it been done, and then look what you need to do going forward. That's really the point. The whole point of this exercise is to kind of take inventory, take stock of where you've been, where you are, where you're going. So yeah, like I said, 18, 19, 20. So when you submit your LAP application, there's you have to, if you don't present your ADA plan, you will not be considered. And I'm just going to go to Zoom grants for a second. There's the application form. So I just put it up. You can see the first part of it is a narrative. Describe in detail your organization's accessibility plan, how it's developed, explain your organization's programming content will be made accessible, allowing for greater participation by special needs audiences or visitors. So, the narrative. The narrative really is, you know what, before I do that, let's just talk about what ADA is. I'll just read this out. It's it was George Bush, 41, H.W. Bush signed in the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. ADA is one of America's most comprehensive pieces of civil rights legislation that prohibits discrimination and guarantees that people with disabilities have the same opportunity as everyone else to participate in the mainstream of American life, to enjoy employment opportunities, to purchase goods and services, and to participate in state and local government programs and services. Modeled after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the ADA is an equal opportunity law for people with disabilities. So I know you could read that yourself, but I figured I'd read it for emphasis. So let's go to the narrative. Yes, this is important before I even go to that. We need to know where your 3-year plan. You must update your ADA plan for 18-19-20. We covered that. And you must submit photos and documentation of ADA compliance with your final report. And the final report gets handed in at the end of the year, and you hand in your final report, and that then we give you guys the last 25% of your funds. So just keep that in mind. All right, the narrative. The narrative really is simply a way for you to present an overview of what your organization has already accomplished and its plans in the future in terms of providing full universal accommodation for your programming. The narrative can also address your plans for funding additional areas for ADA compliance or how you are investigating alternate sites to make your programming accessible. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I'll give you a few examples to illustrate. Let me just see if I need to go to the next slide. Let me see it. I'll go back again. I don't know if anybody is on the phone who's a new applicant. If you are, then you need to. That means you haven't done a accessibility plan, your ADA plan before, so you need to do one. So it's the same chart. And instead of updating, you're going to be creating going forward for FY 18, 19, and 20. All right, narrative. I read the first part, or I gave you the first part. So I'll give you some examples. You're a theater company that is presenting programming in an inaccessible building. However, one weekend you will have the programming in a fully accessible site, library, school, etc. So here's an accommodation to make sure your flyers, marketing materials, and marketing materials give that important information that you're going to be presenting it somewhere that's going to be accessible. Give your telephone number so that people can call and reserve seating for that event. So just really making sure people know that, hey, we're going to be presenting this play at ABC, and it's ADA accessible, wheelchair accessible, and please come. You want people to know. It's kind of like a tree in the forest proposition. If nobody knows, then no one will know. So here's another example. There's an elevator in your building, but it is out of the way. Have someone, a volunteer, who makes themselves available to meet patrons at a major entrance and who will take them to the elevator and ride up with them into their seats. Pretty common. This stuff's pretty common sense. It's not rocket science. You've created a special touch exhibit or want to reach out to people who are blind. Buy several pairs of white gloves. Have someone walk the group through the exhibit doing visual description, and let them touch the exhibit with the white gloves. It's pretty, like I said, it's common sense. So, over narrative, I'll just go through this slide right here. Sorry about that. Here. And it's an overview of what your plans are, reasonable accommodation, like I said. One thing that's important to know, and this is new in the last couple of years with LAP, is you're encouraged to budget appropriate expenses for ADA accessibility. So there are line items in your budget if you're applying for a general operating support GOS grant or program support. That's a PS grant. If you're applying for those two, then you have to do the ADA plan if you're applying for those two types of grants. And like I just said, you're encouraged to budget expenses for ADA if there are indeed expenses for budgeting. So you can see to the right here, these are all symbols, and these are things that you can put on. You could take them from here, or you could you can find like vector images of these on, if you go on Google Images and you search for any of these things, you can find like a nice crisp image of these, and you can put them on your promotion materials for your programming to tell people what you have. So wheelchair accessible. Geez, I keep moving this here. Sorry about that. Assistive listening devices, large print, accessibility for blind, Braille, TTY, sign language, closed captioning, hearing impaired, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing I need to point out is that with your expenses for ADA, you can use the money for, you can use it to enhance your ADA accessibility, but you cannot use it for capital improvements. For instance, you cannot use the funds to build a ramp that goes up to your building, or to put in a wider doorway for to make it more wheelchair accessible. You could use it for the things that I was talking about before, but no capital improvements, and that doesn't just apply to the ADA portion of LAP. It applies in LAP generally. The whole thing about LAP is for programming, not for building and capital improvements and the like. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to pop it up, or we can even at the end you can ask. You can do it too. So where to start? This is kind of repetitious, but assessment and evaluation of your ADA efforts, language considerations, and universal accommodations, and websites. All your printed material supporting and promoting your program should clearly indicate ADA accessibility for the site. Organizations can require prior notice to an event or program if special accommodation or person is required. And here's a good resource for you, HIP of Hudson County. They have a great website, hipcil.org, and they should be part of your outreach for promoting your programming. They work with folks with disabilities, and they can help you promote your event to people with disabilities. So, all right. So then, yeah, the other thing I should just say is with regard to it just goes back to the capital improvements part. Equipment is also under that rubric, under that umbrella. So you cannot purchase. You can purchase small equipment, but you cannot purchase major equipment. If you have any, when you're doing this, and if you say, oh, gee, we're interested in doing this, just pick up the phone or pop us off an email, and we'll be happy to let you know whether yes or no that's something that you should do or not do, etc. So I'm just going to continue. The best way to start is to look at what is in your control. That means your policies, your grievance procedure, which you have to have. It means if people, if for some reason you can't accommodate them, they can file a grievance with our office, and then we will address it. I don't know if we've ever had that instance. Everybody, I think all the organizations that we fund have always, they're pretty forward-looking people that run them and are part of them, and the organizations are pretty forward-thinking, and we've never had a problem with that. But anyway, copies of your grievance policy and board statement should be attached to your plan. Make sure that your policies and procedures are clearly stated and have been accomplished or will be in the future. That's when we get to the chart, which you probably are familiar with what the chart looks like, but I will bring, that's not it. This is the chart. Let me just zoom. Okay, maybe make it a little smaller. Sorry for the dead air. Anyway, so the chart. So you have to do the chart in addition to the narrative. Copies of your grievance policy and board statement should be attached to your plan. I said that. Assigning an ADA staff person is an excellent beginning, as a person will be the point person for the public, between your organization and the public. It's kind of common sense, but be careful of the language you use. Person is not wheelchair bound. They are not tied to the chair. They are not handicapped. They are persons with a disability. I think probably everybody knows that. Evaluate all aspects of your site, the neighborhood, your website, collateral materials, programs, and transportation to your site. If you can find someone with a disability on your board to do your evaluation with you, that's all the better. Sometimes they see things that know things that you don't know. Makes sense. Then you want to take each section and determine if the barriers that exist are short-term or long-term concerns. Remember that the universal accommodation can sometimes be as easy as replacing a door handle or adjusting leverage needed to open a door. Please remember that elderly have difficulty with stairs. We should also let you know that our office has assisted listening devices that you can borrow for a particular performance. Think about buying or borrowing other equipment that your audience may require. This may be especially pertinent for groups that do a lot of music, theater, and spoken word programming. So we have that device. If you need it, just give us a call or send us an email, and we can make arrangements for that. Look at your seating arrangements. Are they fixed? Are they flexible? University accessibility means that you do not discriminate when it comes to your audience, and it can also mean that you are open to new creative perspectives and ideas from board members and artists. So let's just look at the chart. These are the goals in the far left-hand corner. So basically, some of them are already listed here, but they're specific to your organization. So you want to put them in there, and then the next column is your current status, where you're at now in terms of addressing that issue. The next column is the person responsible for it. Like I said, it could be a board member or someone on your staff, but someone who cares, someone people or persons that, care about this issue, which everybody does, but that's going to pay attention to it and can address, will be specifically addressing these issues. So the person responsible, and then you could check whether it's done, and then is it going to be done? If it's not done, is it going to be done in 18, 19, or 20? And then the last column is just like the cost, if there's going to be a cost. A lot of times there's not a cost. It's just a simple, common sense fix. Like I said, but there are, at times, there may be expenses. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. There's the ADA chart. I just talked about it. That's all for the PowerPoint. We're going to make it available online. Let me just see if I have anything else here. Websites. The websites that are given in the guidelines, yes, in the guidelines, there are websites we list at the end that will help you find out what measurements are needed for accommodation of wheelchairs, height of labels, type size, and font size. Use the websites and to find your answers. If you're having a hard time, get in touch with us and we can help. Yes, so the helpful websites there. Page 13 of the LAP guidelines have helpful websites and resources. Just looking if there's anything else here. Pretty much it's repetition. Does anybody have any questions? I ran through this kind of quick, but it's not rocket science, as I like to say. Martin, do they have to type them if they have questions?
Folks can unmute themselves and verbalize their comments if they'd like.
Oh yes, you can unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can type the question. So.
Yep. There's also there's a chat box up in the top. It's the second green dot at the top, and there's a little chat bar there. You can also put your chat questions in there as well.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Joe? Okay. Yeah. Could you go back to the narratives? Like my one question is, has anything changed in terms of what you're requesting? And I'm wondering, I thought there was more than one narrative.
Yeah, there's the general narrative. There's a budget narrative. Let's go back to the application. Yeah. Yes, I mean there are a number of questions.
There's only one question on accessibility.
Yeah. So the narratives are the other narratives pertain to if you're applying for a GOS.
Yeah, I'm just asking about ADA.
ADA. It's just one ADA. Yep.
So what I'm not clear on was that you talked about writing a narrative for your plan. Your ADA plan.
That's this right here. That's this question.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
It's the same thing. It's number 18 on. If you look at the screen, it's what I have up here. It's not. Yeah, it's nothing different than previous. And it's the same as the past in terms of what we're asking for.
So basically, you want it's that narrative and the chart. And yep. I guess what I was slightly confused at was photographs of accessibility stuff, and I guess that you're saying is you use during the reporting period.
Yeah, that's for the final report.
Great. And the chart that we'll be able to download that from the
Yep,
application.
it's available. It's in the section called it's in the tab called FY18 HCHPP. Oh, that's called the wrong thing, but it's in the tab that says information and guidelines.
Got it. Okay.
I need to relabel, but you can see it right there. So
yeah.
Any other questions? Negative. So, like I said, if you have any questions that come up after we finish this, feel free to give us a call, 201-459-2070, or feel free to email me or Corin. I am jwaks@hcnj.us, and she is kfrankfort @hcnj.us. And if you would, do me a favor, everyone who's on this, if you could just send me an email, just a quick email, just telling me that you were on the call, just so I know who was on this presentation, and then I'll be happy to also just send you the PowerPoint as well. If that's it, we can wrap it up. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this, and we look forward to getting your applications, and look forward to another great round of funding for you, and so that you can present everything you do to the public. Thanks for everything you guys do. You definitely make our community a better place. Yes.
Joe, did you need me to go through Zoom Grants at all? Kind of how to set up an application, kind of like their account or anything like that?
Yeah. Did you say you want to do that, or you want me to do that?
No. Do you need me to do that?
Yeah, if you could
just real quick.
Yeah, just if you want to run through it really quick. You want to take over the controls?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
This is Martin Greenlee from Zoom Grants, and on the application you'll see how to contact them. But he's just going to run through really quick about how to start the application. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. So here is the landing page of which you'll start your application. The link here is the link that you've been provided by staff. Once you click on that link, you'll come to a page that looks like this. If you have never applied through Zoom Grants, you'll need to generate your own Zoom Grants account, and you'll do that by putting your email address and your password and your first name and last name, and generate that new account. If you've used Zoom Grants before, if your organization has used Zoom Grants before, you'll want to use that login password from last year, and if you forgot your password, that is there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create my new account, and that's going to let me know that I've successfully created my account, and now that allows me to apply for the program. Once I'm in the program, Zoom Grants uses a tab system, so we've got tabs here that you need to work through those tabs. You can bounce around to those different tabs throughout the application and work through the applications. You don't have to work through it in order. You can bounce around and answer those questions as you see fit. Up here at the top, I'll just direct you to the Help button. Zoom Grants provides technical assistance to all of the users, so if you have technical questions about Zoom Grants or how to upload a document, or you're having trouble with this or that, you can contact our support desk. You can send us an email at questions@zoomgrants.com or contact our support desk, which is 866-323-5404, extension 2. Again, that's 866-323-5404, extension 2. If it's a programmatic question, you'll want to contact staff at Hudson County. And Joe's mentioned those email addresses already. Those are there as well. But here's
just so you know, sorry, Martin. Just the phone number that Martin just gave you is sprinkled throughout. Like, it's in every single heading. Like, you'll see it all in the like that. What he just brought up on the screen, you'll see numerous times, so you can't really miss it.
Mm-hmm. Great. So yeah, these instruction boxes do pop out. So if you do want to see what those instructions are, be sure to pop those out and view the information. You'll want to start off by putting your application title, and I'll just give you an example here. Let's do a test title. And when I leave that box, you'll see a flash of blue and it says saving. So the system automatically saves as you work through the application. You do not need to worry about clicking a save button in Zoom Grants, and just work through, answer those questions. You can invite other people into your application. These could be staff members, teammates, whatever they are. You can invite them into the application. They can help you answer those questions by putting their email address here and checking the box and inviting them into the application. Now, keep in mind, those collaborators cannot submit, archive, or delete the application, but they can work on the application with you. So the pre-application, here are those pre-application questions. Now, keep in mind when you're working in this pre-application that if you select a specific answer, some answers are going to be hidden. So if I select the first option, which is yes to A and B, number 3, 4, and whatever go away, and just number 2 show up. Now, if I click the second option, question 2 goes away. So don't be alarmed. Just be aware that depending upon your answer here, certain questions will be hidden because they're no longer required. The application questions here, feel free to answer those questions. You need to answer every question that's presented to you, or you will not be able to submit your application. The budget here is the narrative, and the budget line items are here. Now, you'll keep in mind that each one of these, there are those instructions there, so read those. But each one of these is a different table for each one of these type of applicants. So down below is the program support, and further down is the general operating support. And there's been some addition to some of the examples here, I know this year. So
yeah, we've really tried to. Sorry, Martin. We've really tried to. I mean, I think I could say safely that, and I want to give kudos to Zoom Grants like this. I'm sure those of you who have applied in the past know that what we were using before was inferior, and that this is really a great system that they have. And just I want to say, like, I think we've made this even better this year with kind of just more explanatories in the budget, so that you kind of know what we're asking.
And so just keep in mind when you're using the table and you're typing in an amount, if those totals don't present themselves here, it's important that you use the refresh page button here at the top. So don't use the refresh of your browser to reload this page. Use the refresh page button here in Zoom Grants, as those totals will recalculate and present themselves. And finally, it's the documents to be provided by the applicant tab. Again, there's instructions there on what each one of those documents mean. Just go ahead and pick the document request that you need to upload. Uploading is really simple. Just click on upload, give your document a title, do the file upload, and choose a file from your hard drive. And so upload that in and you're good to go. Now, if your document exceeds 4 megabytes, you'll need to either link it to a Dropbox or a cloud storage account, or you can upload several files. You can upload as many files as you want that are 4 megabytes or less. So if it's a specific document that's over 4 megabytes, you can do document 1 of 2 and document 2 of 2, for an example. We did have a question that came through, Joe.
Okay.
And it's how do you access the library, is the question. And I'm guessing you're talking about, there is this library section up here. I don't know if you're talking about something else, Tim, but yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. You know, like one of the questions, well, actually one of the narrative questions said to get more information, you look at the document, explanatory document in our library.
Okay, so
That's up here.
It was the main narrative under the application form.
Go to this first screen, Martin, if you would.
Yes. This one. Okay. This here?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, where the hell is the library? I thought it was. There's definitely a tab called Library.
Well, I know that this is typically our library tab here.
Okay, then.
And that's what opens up these two documents here. So I'm assuming that they're referring to the guidelines.
Yeah, you're probably referring to the guide. Yes, exactly. Maybe we should. I'll make that. We'll make a change to make it a little clearer.
Okay. Yeah.
But
but the explanatory, and I guess there's more explanation.
Yep.
I don't know. I'll take another look at the guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, really, for anyone that's on the call, like the guidelines are really your Bible. You should. I'm sure Corin said this in the last webinar, but like read those and know those because that's really. I mean, everything is in there. I would not apply without reading those thoroughly.
But those are the only two documents to review.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great.
Any other questions before we sign off?
I'm good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right, Martin, thanks so much.
You bet.
Thank you to everybody. I really appreciate it. And like I said, feel free to contact us with any questions.